Hello and welcome to the APTA Grand Prix Series, the Dwayne Hayden Long Island Invitational, sponsored by the APTA national sponsors Viking, Fusion, Upswing Health, and MI Paddle, and local sponsors D'Addario, Signature Premier Properties, Cherry Lane Printing and Mailing, and Shoreline Beverages. We are live from the Huntington Country Club on the APTA network, presented by Pro Fight Live. I'm Brad Easterbrook alongside Mark Fischel, bringing you the men's final round action between our number 2 seeds of Mark Powers and John Hughes and the unseeded team of Drew Broderick and Martin Bostrom. Mark, welcome to the match.
Thanks, Brad. Should be a fun one. Why don't we take a quick look at the players on the court? We can identify them for our viewers. On the bottom half of the court, the right-hand side is Martin Bostrom, and the left-hander standing next to him is Drew Broderick. Up on the top half of the screen, the left-hander to the left side is John Hughes and his partner, Mark Powers. So, Brad, obviously these teams don't have a lot of history together, but as you commented earlier off air, Broderick has played against Hughes and Powers several times of late. And it's been interesting because it hasn't been his normal dynamic, has it?
No, the last couple of times they've played, and he was playing at those times with Jared Palmer, and he's played them actually fast. You know, tried to mix it up athletically with them. A lot of drives, a lot of transition game, and in both cases, Broderick and Palmer at those times came up with losses. And it's kind of the book now that you do not want to get up into an athletic battle with Hughes and Powers.
Well, having said that, let's take a look at the Viking keys to victory. So for Hughes and Powers, we talked about earlier, Brad, the semifinal win over Borussia Dortmund was probably the best match they played all season.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they've been not playing a lot. And
not
this
playing
week,
well when they have been playing.
right. And, and when we say not playing well, we're talking about just missing basic lobs, basic routine shots, overheads. They really cleaned it up in that match, as you were mentioning before. They actually went pretty error-free. They were down 4-3 to Borussia Dortmund, sort of fighting uphill the whole way, and went almost error-free for a good 3-4 game stretch, and then pulled it away quite easily in the second.
Second one is the Hughes forehand. It's what everybody does. They're all dumping the ball soft to John's forehand and kind of challenging him.
Yeah, he's got to maintain confidence in that and hit the balls that should be driven. They've got to perceive a threat there. Otherwise, they're just going to keep doing it time and time again, and that makes the other team be able to control the tempo.
And then the Bostrom backhand is where all the damage really came from on that side of the court. Broderick will, as Jerry likes to say, like a slow drip, but Bostrom's the one really doing the damage, especially with that backhand.
Yeah, without a doubt, they got to avoid the Bostrom backhand. And along with that, they're going to have to serve and volley appropriately. They're still one of those routine. They serve and volley a lot more than other teams with your standard overhand serve. So they're going to have to manage that well against the Bostrom return and the Bostrom backhand during the match.
And for Bostrom and Broderick, tempo, obviously, they've got to play slow. As you talked about earlier, Bradford, the book is you can't play fast against Hughes and Powers, at least if you're not Johan Duran. You can't play fast against Hughes and Powers. They've got to stay slow. Maintain composure, to me, is really about Martin Bostrom. And I would probably lump these last two together because we saw in both the quarters and the semis, Bostrom had a couple of blips, especially that game at 4-love when they were about to go up 5-love, or 4-1, was about to go up 5-1 when he missed 4 consecutive drives.
Yeah, it was huge point in the match. And in both cases, and we saw this even in the last tournament they played, we were calling a match and they were playing tight. He was playing with Anderson at the time. And, 3 drives in a row missed and the match just got away from him. And then the last point was when to drive, which we were putting together with that. And that's just the choices. The Hughes and Powers are going to come at them with spin overheads, attacking overheads, deep balls. Bostrom has to stay disciplined. And I'm happy to see that he's been very disciplined overall. And if he can keep that together, they got a good chance.
Okay, so here we go. It'll be Martin Bostrom serving to John Hughes.
15 love.
There's a quick trigger from Powers.
Yeah, he's got a huge forehand, and he spots it about as well as anyone in the game.
30 love.
That's Lisa Rudloff, the director of racket sports in Huntington. Our scorekeepers done just yeoman's work out there in the cold weather. Kudos to all the people on the ground. Jackie Cameron, Ann Waldron, Lisa Rudloff, Dwayne Hayden
40
for all their
love.
hard work. Not just running a tournament, but running a tournament in the COVID-19 era, especially complicated. You know, normally, Brad, we talk about who needs a good start. In this matchup, I don't think either team needs anything.
Yeah, you know, we've seen it before. Powers and Hughes, when they were at their best, they never went away. And they just got to these moments where they would
40-15.
dig out ball after ball and played super tight points. Both teams have that capacity. I agree with you 100%. In fact, the first 3 points, you can see Powers Hughes missed 3 quick, relatively, you know, makeable drives. Everybody usually gets their range these first few games.
It's good to see Drew Broderick back in the final because while we talked about with all his national championships,
Game Bostrom.
he has
Broderick,
not played that well the last couple
1-0.
of years with a variety of partners.
Well, it's hard to say he hasn't played well, but the results certainly have not been there, Mark. You know, and I think that brings up a great point with this match. I mean, Powers and Hughes certainly have to be hungry for getting a good result in after 2 subpar results for them, you know, in the first 2 tournaments of the year. And for Bostrom, this is his first major final in quite some time. I mean, he's won a couple of mixed national championships with his wife and, you know, Fleur Hanisch, and he's a very accomplished player. But he hasn't really been on this stage in a National Grand Prix final that many times. And for Broderick, as you said, not that many wins on the national level last year. So both teams got to be hungry for a good result here.
So Mark Powers to serve. He'll be
Powers
serving
to
to Mark
serve.
Bostrom. The big Bostrom forehand, followed by that inexplicable volley miss. from
15
Bostrom.
love.
And there's the highs and the lows of Martin Bostrom in 1 point.
15 all.
I don't think fitness is going to be an issue here at all. You know, mental fitness is possible, but oh, jumped at that one.
15
No jumping
30.
so far for Hughes and
Yeah.
Powers.
Did you look for Bostrom and Broderick to switch in the backcourt, Brad, or stay on these sides?
I think they'll mostly stay on these sides, but they certainly will take any tactic they can to mix it up. So I feel like if they have a bad first set, we'll see them switch in the backcourt a lot because both sides have absolute merit to them. And there's some strengths and weaknesses to either, which we can go in as the match progresses. Whoa!
That was a thumper.
Martin Bostrom, that was the when to drive
30
choice
all.
that was the negative, right? First one was great. Second one, he's moving back and away. Got to lay off that and put up the lob again. Incredible hands by Powers in that point, too, with sort of an ole volley.
40 30.
And when the errors come for Bostrom, Mark, you know, they do come in batches sometimes.
It's interesting because I'm not sure it's a positive or negative, but it doesn't affect him from pulling the trigger.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm not sure either.
I mean, we saw that in the match against Durant Mitchell, where he missed 4 in a row in that one game, and then the next game, first ball, bam,
Right.
and then a great return.
And at this point, it's sort of like what makes him what he is. And what he is one of the best players in the country. But, you know, he hasn't challenged for a national championship yet. So it all sort of lives in that area.
Yeah, and that's always been his issue, as you talked about in the Open. There's just a couple of times a match where he kind of goes away a little bit. Because the physical talent is tremendous. I mean, the ball just explodes off his paddle. He's volleying well. He's got one of the best serves in the game. He's got a cut finish. And in fairness, I don't know that he's ever played with someone who was capable of winning a national championship with him. I mean, all those years with Sebastian Redberg, so they lost in the quarters, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row.
Right.
They just didn't have quite enough offense to get over the top. Oh, great finish for Powers.
Game.
Huge
Hughes
finish.
Powers 1-all.
He has a good finishing overhead too, and he does it in a way he can cut it and drop it back, the spin back, but it's a heavy cutter that you're not sure if it's going to move through the court or spin and die to the left. Bostrom was completely flummoxed by that one. Great volleys there from Broderick.
You know, we saw bits and pieces of Hughes Powers their first 2 matches, and I got to say that in terms of Mark Powers' play, I think it was the best I'd seen him play in a long time.
You know, the first 2 from this year. You know, it's interesting since teams have gotten a little bit wiser to how to play the team and where to put the ball in various positions, so they've had to learn to adjust a little. Consequence, I think Powers' backhand actually is better than it has been in a while. It's a little more versatile. He can do a little more with it now. Flattens out the drive. And, miss hit overhead there and a great lob, though, by Hughes.
Love 15.
That's the lob he wasn't hitting a whole lot when we were watching that match in the semis against Sven Burish, hitting that down the line over the Burish left shoulder. Yeah, I almost think that John Hughes has kind of gotten away from what he does real well. I mean,
What do you mean, Mark?
When they were playing really well, he was just rock solid. He just kept putting the ball in play, and he wasn't worried about, you know, hitting that forehand.
Yeah, I would say there's some truth to that for sure. They got to get back to remembering that there really isn't any ball that they can't put in play. They were digging out balls probably better than almost any team in the country at one point.
They'd make you win a point 2-3 times.
Correct. But what happened, I think, also is they have to go back to remembering that they can do that type of play. So it's not incumbent for them to hit any specific ball because they can just keep it going endlessly if they want to. But I think when people started slowing the play down, they changed the tempo enough, but people were still trying to attack them in those days. You know, they tried to finish them off. And the more you try to finish them off, the more they dig it back, and then eventually you hit a little bit errant or too hard a ball, and then they capitalize. Once people started taking the air out of the ball and took the athleticism out of the game, it became a different animal. So they just had to reset kind of the way they're thinking about it. It's a great lob there from Powers.
Great move there.
Yeah, his ability to one-time the ball is one of the best in the country for sure. This is a
great lob.
Great lob, yes. And this is a really good Hughes Powers point. You know, they just kept
Love
working
30.
and working and working. Then they take a good volley, but after the great lob, Force the air. That is such a spot. We're going to find that as a theme today, Mark.
Love
I don't think
40.
there's anybody who spots their drive much better than Mark Powers.
Talk about that a little more, Brad. Spotting the drives.
You know, he just has the ability with his accuracy to put the ball off the left hip, off the right hip. Every shot he hits has a purpose. He'll go left hip first time, then right hip the second time. He can put the ball wide, and it's all done with a very quick release. Oh, that's...
See, to me, that's a poor choice from Bostrom. He didn't lose the point in the drop shot, but that's what he play up.
Correct. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Hughes
And
Powers, they lead 2-1 first set.
case in point, Mark, they lost that point because it sped up to a point where they weren't controlling anymore. And does he really think he's going to catch John Hughes on a drop shot? Even
Let's
in this
hope
cold
not.
weather.
So here's deep lob. Oh, that opens up the court.
Yep, beautiful.
And after a sloppy start, Hughes and Powers looked very sharp the last couple of games.
Really solid. And you catch in Hughes' move. That's his best move when he's able to move to his right towards the side screen, and you bounce that ball up into his forehand, he thumps it good.
It's going to be interesting to me to see how much of the Hughes serve negates the Bostrom return.
Oh,
Just hit that
Bostrom.
miss with the
15
opponent
love.
retreating.
Yeah, he didn't read that because all he had to do was sort of spin the ball up and deep, and he went low to the net and firm. That's lucky for Hughes and Powers, but Hughes was doing the right thing anyway. He would have just gotten the ball off back screen. They could have played from the backcourt. When Hughes and Powers are making few to no backcourt errors, they are just tough. That's a good shot there and a great lob. Oh!
Strange miss from Broderick.
30 love.
I mean, it's a shot he uses all the time, the sort of low punch drive with a continental grip.
30-15.
But usually not in the middle of the net.
You're absolutely right about that.
What you can see as the match unfolds, who hits the overheads for Hughes Powers. Early on, you see Mark Powers hitting more.
And they were definitely doing more, you know, Powers overheads against Bersh or Doya as well. Oh, that's a great lob from Broderick.
30
a
all.
quick low lob to the backhand side of Hughes. So we got fault and miss overhead, 30 all.
Well, it's
30,
Hughes comes in
40.
about 3 feet and then stops.
Yeah, it's strange. When you play it like that, you usually are prepared to go back. But he was looking for the half volley and didn't get it.
I haven't seen much of that Hughes overhead, which was such a force a few years back. He was generating all that spin, winning a lot of points
Deuce.
on it.
Well, in the early stages of the year, I don't think he's been playing enough to really bring it out. He's practiced enough, I think, this last week or so where he's gotten it back to a place where he feels comfortable with it. But I think tactically they're just not looking for it. It's also a little bit of that same overhead that's long
Add
and
out.
deep in there. People have gotten more used to playing it. That's just too good from
Deuce.
Powers there. The short low lob, but it doesn't push Powers back at all. Still allows him to hit it in a low contact. Great finish. Yeah, that's the overhead that you're talking about right there, where he cuts the ball long and deep towards the back wire and it spins all the way to the side. They're definitely going to need that whenever, you know, if they want to make a good run again for the national championship.
It's much better tempo.
Yeah, it's
Boston
great
Broderick.
tempo from Boston Broderick. And, you know, you were saying it before, the slow drips, I call it like Novocaine. You know, he just numbs you, Broderick. He keeps pushing you back with the low lob, and he comes at you with that half-pace drive, and he just keeps, it's like body punch after body punch. Works on you mentally and physically. Not any one particular shot is specifically what you would say is, you know, amazing or a killer, but it just keeps coming after you. That's a dangerous overhead there from Hughes, but
You had
gets
talked
the
Add
earlier
in.
about
Error.
fatigue, and it's a little early to say, but it seemed like Boston's had some heavy feet on a couple of early points.
oh, shocking
Deuce.
miss there from Powers. He's shocked. He's
Yeah.
like, oh. It's a great spot on the drive. I think he caught Powers. Was not expecting that. That's a great serve. He's
Add in.
challenging Bostrom return with a heavier serve. He's staying back. I like that play from Hughes. He's just putting that extra bit of pressure. I missed it.
Deuce.
Just some sloppy misses right now.
Yeah, a couple. I mean, and it's a little bit of a sign early that none of those balls, and a couple of those balls that Hughes were hitting earlier, I expected them to break much sharper to the side screen. Now, it is colder out there today for sure. But he's not getting the confident cut at it that he would normally take. Oh, that's just a great spot for a drive by Broderick.
It was awfully deep in the court when he contacted that ball. Went over the net, but
Yeah. And I kind of agree with you there, because you'd like to see a drive like that followed up with some pressure of a forward move. You know.
one of the big things for me about Broderick's game the last couple of years, he's gotten a little bit deep in the court for my tastes. So against Uriah Parsons, he was playing shorter in the court, taking balls early, and he was really effective.
Yeah, if he's able to do that, he's able to really sting you with his backhand drive. It's like a lot of just constant nice look from Powers there. He sees the confusion, gets doing work, and finishes him off. That was excellent play. And
Add
it
in.
started with the Bostrom call. And you saw lateness to the ball there from Broderick. So game point for Hughes Powers.
Great sequence from Powers.
Yep. Broderick doing good work. He's just continually hitting those overheads, those lobs deep. To Hughes. There he goes. Right.
Powers dumping a lot of balls middle of the court.
Oh,
Game.
Surprising miss.
Hughes Powers. They lead 3-1. First set.
I think they feel that, you know, Broderick can't hurt him. He can move him around, but he's not going to hurt him. They know Bostrom can hurt him, but if they get him to be moving or playing the wrong spot,
15 love.
they can force the air. Good cut, though, from Hughes. Just missed it long. Oh, he's surprising miss from
30
Powers
love.
there. So one of his bread and butter balls. But I like the fact that Hughes drove that other ball, set up Powers for a good look.
Brad, you played with a bunch of lefties in your career. How did you adjust your position at the net?
You know, you have to, when you're looking to volley, you have to get a little closer together because you both have sort of that chicken wing volley off the hip. That's so good.
Not a lot of
And-
respect for the Hughes forehand there, huh?
You know, it is one of the areas where that quick release, he doesn't have that fast release that generates a lot of spin. So in the close exchanges, I think that might have been wide. Yep.
Hold out. So back to the thought you had earlier before I interrupted you.
30-15.
About when you were playing with a lefty, how it affected your court positioning.
30-15.
Yeah, at the net, you got to definitely get closer together. And then you just got to make sure you're working out, like when you're playing. Generally speaking, when you play with a lefty, you know, whoever's in the middle, if they're over here now, Broderick can get much closer and take almost all the overheads when they're working. When they're working John Hughes in that deuce corner. That's just a great move. He's going to take that.
Of course he is. Yeah, to me, it's a huge advantage with the overheads and a significant disadvantage with the volleys.
Yeah, so you have to get, like we were saying before, just closer together, cut off and force your opponent to hit that ball wide because it makes it much easier with the middle spot with both players having a chicken wing type volley, so you have to really tighten that up. Oh.
And Drew
Bosser's-
Broderick is about as good as there's ever been.
30
at the net
all.
as a left-hander.
Exceptional technique and positioning. One of the best there is, without a doubt. Bosser missing a few too many drives. He's going to have to dial that in. Did you like that look there, Mark?
You know, his feet just don't look very sharp to me right now.
30-40.
He looks like he's a little slow to the ball. A little heavy-footed.
So what do you think? Some dance classes?
I think that would be helpful. I
Yeah.
know Floor's been trying to get him to do that.
Ah, well, maybe a little samba. She is Brazilian, of course.
Just an example of Broderick, that chicken wing volley in the middle that he's so good at. These are the points we talked about earlier, determined to win and lose paddle matches.
Nice dig there from Hughes. He's really stepping it up. Now here come Powers. Oh, Hughes! No good. That's a great volley from Bostrom.
Tremendous.
Deuce.
And Bostrom tells you it was a little lucky, but that was awfully good.
That was a big point.
Yes, it
Back to
was.
deuces. Down 4-1. We're talking with Jerry about these are these swing games. I mean, 4-1 by no means is a match, but it's a lot. 3-2 is a lot better. That's smart by Bostrom. Lob volley does not want to get into an exchange with Powers when Powers is moving forward. Still not going after that forehand cut overhead. He's not spinning it to the side wire. If it doesn't start getting over there, it's going to hang a little. There's a little heavier one. That's a better overhead. Broderick just a
That
little
out.
on his heels there. Oh, that is just a monster return with a great dig from Bostrom. Oh, tape.
Cut finish from Powers. They're
Game.
winning all the big points
Hughes
right now, Brad.
Powers, they lead
They
4-1
are, and they're
first
playing
set.
solid. They're just giving away less right now
Powers
than
serve.
Bostrom and Broderick.
It's a little bit like we talked about in the Open, which is they're playing like the team that won the Nationals when they were just put one more ball in play, one more ball in play, one more ball in play. And it wasn't that the tempo was slow, it's just that they would
Right.
dig out as many balls as they could, and eventually they'd hurt you with their athleticism or Powers off the deck.
Yep, absolutely. And that is the recipe for those guys. And they can find it again. It's just getting back into playing. So they look gooder in the early stages. And we all know, though, the Boston Broderick method, the Broderick method can wear on you over time. And he's always good
Love
about
15.
changing tactics, moving a guy into another spot on the court.
Hughes Powers have a good record against Broderick the last couple of years since they made their breakthrough. In fact, it was here in Long Island, you and Jerry talked about where they beat he and Jared Palmer in the
Love
semis
30.
and really jumped up the year they won Nationals, the season they won Nationals.
Now, here's a point for Hughes and Powers. So most of the long points they're playing, Hughes and Powers have been winning, correct?
Yep.
Right, for the most part.
15-30.
And you got Hughes and Powers making a couple of early errors in that game. If they're going to lose short points, that's just going to be a perfect recipe for Bostrom and Broderick. Get back into this match. Oh, great hands. He's got to body him with that ball.
30 all.
Surprised he went around him.
To be like a reach for it a little bit too.
Did he? That goes to your heavy feet again. And I don't know what that was.
40,
happened there,
30.
Matt. Not
I don't know what that was, Mark. It was a whiff.
That was a sitter that he swung and missed at.
Yeah. Like we talked about, he didn't really get his body behind it. It was out in front of him. I think he probably thought it was so easy. I'm going to make it without full footwork and preparation.
Another big point right here. You're closing out games. The difference between winning and losing.
Great positioning from Hughes and Powers. See how he gets closer to Mark Powers there? Easily makes a big backhand for Boston.
Wow, Broderick really misplayed that ball.
It's for a
Game.
moment it looked like he was going to step in and hit it early, and then he realized
Powers
it was
Hughes,
around him.
they lead
and it was too
5-1
late.
first set.
5 games in a row. Hughes Powers, and they look really good.
Oh, they look good, but Bostrom and Broderick are just missing their opportunities at this point too. I mean, a lot of that is absolutely kudos to Hughes and Powers,
Love
but
15.
combination right now. They're going to have to up their level. That's a great move. And that is what that does on a variety of levels. See, the Hughes, he's coming move forces the harder overhead away from Hughes, and then Powers gets the drive. Right? So that's a great move for Hughes and Powers to use a bit more of. Nice combination from Bostrom. Powers calling for the overheads.
And they're just pounding the middle of the board right now.
Yep. But middle towards Broderick. And when they go at Bostrom, they're getting him to move a little bit and getting him a little flat-footed.
Well, ironically enough, the middle is much safer when they're Bostrom and Broderick are this configuration than when they're in their normal sides.
Absolutely. In both cases, you know, the forehands are the weaker shot for both Bostrom and Broderick. It's not that they're bad, they're just weaker. That's about 4
Love
of those
30.
off-pace drive misses.
That he's missed, which is about a month's or maybe 2 months worth of misses for him.
way short. Not
Not
just short,
Yeah, not
way
just but
short.
Way short.
Exactly. I like that. Got to have levels. Levels of shortness.
Oh, that's so athletic.
What a
Oh,
pick.
Broderick.
Oh, behind the back volley winner.
Almost
Well,
pulled
I'm
us
down.
out.
40.
Down 1-5. Let's see what I can pull out of a hat here. Love 40 triple set point from Hughes and Powers.
Hughes did a great job last point. So let's.
Yep. Well, he's working to make them have to respect certain aspects of his game. He's driving it. He's hitting the off-pace ball, and there it is. That's
Game in
a
first
kind of a
set.
frustration
Hughes
finish
Powers
there.
6-1.
And great set from Hughes and Powers. And Bostrom and Broderick just got to kind of increase their level a little. You know, they're just playing a little, missing all the shots they want to play, and terrific work behind the back. You just can't come up with it. Would have been a fun one, though.
Viking has an unrivaled paddle lineup depth. 3 paddle families, each family featuring 3 models: the Pro, the Light, and the Prodigy. 9 adult paddles with different weights, core densities, and overall hitting surfaces address all levels of play. Vibrant gradient and a bold modern color palette lead the way for the upcoming season. All paddles are hand-painted, giving each its own unique look. No gimmicks, just the best ball striking paddles in the game. The official paddles of the APTA. So, Brad, what do you think they need to do to kind of turn it around? Because that was a fast first set.
It was a fast first set. I mean, it starts with just execution. I wouldn't say. I mean, would you think the tempo's all wrong for Bostrom and Broderick here?
No.
I don't think the tempo's all wrong. They just, every shot that Bostrom's hit, he's had those lead feet. He's missed. They're missing literally 50% of the drives they're taking. And, you know, that just can't continue. Their level's going to have to improve. And, you know, Hughes and Powers are giving them very little. They're creating more offense, taking more offense to do it. Hughes is hitting his forehand, looking for it at the right times, and they're just going to have to go back to the drawing board and execute better.
But Hughes and Powers have had a much easier path here, straight sets all the way through. Bostrom and Broderick had a real tough match in the quarters with Araya Parsons, and then again in the semis with Durant Mitchell.
Yeah, 2 tough 3-setters. Do you think fitness and mental fitness is making a difference, Mark?
Yeah, I'm really looking more at the mental fitness aspect of it, Brad, than the physical aspect of it, especially for Martin Bostrom, because just grinding every point. I mean, look, that's what Drew Broderick does. I don't see it affecting him, but it's a little bit new for Martin Bostrom. That's not the way he normally tends to play.
Right. Yeah, no question. I mean, I think it's a good point. But that brings us to a second point, Mark. Do you think, are we seeing a new team out here in Bostrom and Broderick? They played together in a pro flight paddle event, went to the finals there, lost to Durant and Powers, actually. What do you think?
Well, Blake Anderson's a terrific player, but I don't think anybody would argue he's as good as Drew Broderick. And if you have a chance to play with Drew Broderick, that'd be a tough one to turn down if I was Martin Bostrom.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to see.
It's like Martin taking off his shoes.
Well, you know, at this point, shoes and his pants.
I think he'll continue, Brad, take off his shorts too.
I think we'll stop there probably, and with the conversation and with the disrobing.
And Hughes says, you can go sweatpantless, I can go sweatpantless.
There you go. I think that was Powers, actually.
Powers.
There you go. But that's good. Good positive body language from Powers and Hughes. And, you know, the biggest thing we were seeing in those first couple of tournaments that they were having, Mark, they were just missing basic overheads, basic volleys, blocking the ball out. Hughes has cleaned that up completely. His overhead isn't 100% back, the heavy cutter. It's not really spinning it to the side wire as much. And clearly they got Powers doing a little more of the overhead work. But they're starting to round them shapes back into some good form.
Oh, is it not perfect?
And I think they're realizing that if they don't make mistakes,
Yeah.
very hard for another team to beat them.
Never mind. I'll give it to you the next 7 more games. I'll give you
I
one.
know. It's, I mean, you guys are out of them by 5 games.
Yeah, I think Bostrom Broderick need a good start to the second set.
Yeah, it's interesting. You were talking about it in the first set, how neither team needs a particularly good start. But now I think it's changed. I agree with you entirely. Good cutters in there from Bostrom. Nicely done. Great dig. And that's what Hughes and Powers do so well. Dig the ball.
Love
Hughes
15.
tries for a quick bunt drive. Nicely left by Bostrom.
Interesting that Powers started the first set and Hughes the second.
I think it has to do with sides, Mark. I think it's just a question they've decided to stay sides.
But why? There's no sun, obviously, at this time of day.
I think it's a comfort issue for teams. They felt like neither one of them was getting broken, and neither one did. And they don't feel like they have an advantage one way or the other, so they feel comfortable keeping it the way it was. That worked so well in the first set. And for a lot of players, comfort is an important thing.
Yeah, I always feel like if there was a reason that Powers started the match off, then you could start off the second set too.
If they come away with a win, we can ask them that in the interview. Nice off-pace drive there from Bostrom. He was thumping every drive before. There, he just put it in. And of the players on the tour, it is harder to read his shots than almost anyone's. He just is so slippery with it. So when he takes pace off, that's a bad overhead. But
especially on the backhand side, I find it much harder to read than the forehand side.
Nice dig. Great defense from Powers Hughes.
Where a lot of movement being created by Powers, Hughes Powers here.
These are the kind of points Powers Hughes actually like. Dig out a lot of balls, then take a quick strike at some point in the point. That's the area where Hughes just could use a little more acceleration on the racket, hit that mid-court slow ball. And there's a long ball, and see, you keep trying to attack them. And we talked about this, Mark, and they go ball, ball back, ball back. So you try to do better on the next one. And Bostrom, just, you know, you can only do so well. He makes the error, 15 all.
I thought Max Lipavere was on the court for a second there.
He does lead the entire universe in caught tosses.
You were doing this match earlier, like the first game, he did like 5.
Yep. Yeah, it's
30-15.
I do say this, it is disconcerting as the receiver. He doesn't do it to have any gamesmanship or anything, but it is difficult.
He's very
30
good at
all.
catching them. He almost never drops them.
All right, 30 all. This is what Bostrom and Broderick need. I mean, you know, on balance. Clearly, Hughes and Powers have had the better of this match in terms of execution and just play. They can get a couple of looser errors out of, or a couple of faults out of Hughes and Powers. It'll go a long way to get him back in there. I like Bostrom now feeling out his drive, hitting him mid-pace and know he's going to not miss. Get the drive feel back. And then when he feels confident, start going for it a little bit more.
As we often talk about, that first game, lost the set previously. It's such an important game. This is a big moment in the match right here. Bostrom Broderick have got to start winning some of these big points, which they did not do in the first set.
Yep. Ooh, there's a good look. And you see the Bostrom, though, not going for it. And then he pays the
40-30.
price. He didn't go for big. He went slow. And
he was exposed. He was the
he
dangerous
was
part
exposed, and he didn't hit a good lob afterwards. And let's be honest. I mean, we talk about the virtues of Martin Bostrom and his ball striking ability, but he's not the quickest of players on the tour. Of the guys at the top, he might be one of the slower guys. It's a great ball. See, and Hughes and Powers switching in the backcourt. They don't mind this look either. Surprising stab from Powers there. Could have easily got it off the back screen. Momentary hesitation.
That's a great serve.
Yeah, big. Yeah, what's great about what Bosser and Broderick are doing, they're taking away those mid-pace drive errors. They're making sure they're making those shots. Bosser taking a little pace off his drive. Broderick following through a little better. Yeah, they're just playing smooth. So it's becoming now, they're just working them up and back. Nothing specifically threatening, but taking the errors out of the game. And that's step one for these guys.
That is a dangerous overhead Hughes just did, Broderick.
Yeah, he's got that cut overhead flash drive.
I love the patience you're seeing from Hughes Powers. Just dump in the middle, dump in the middle. More to Broderick, but just very patient. Jim Kaufman would be very proud.
Yep. Nice balls. Great patience. And Bostrom not taking any bait, just lobbing. He's going to wait for the exact right ball, which is exactly what they need to do. It's a good point for Broderick and Bostrom. They're controlling the tempo, and they've lost all these points in the first set. They need to get one of these long points. Oh, now you see Powers trying to start it up. He's going to cut that long. Oh, and it's surprising.
And
They've had
in.
a couple of those where Bostrom thinks that Broderick's bailing him out there, and it's not happening.
Yeah, and that ball kicked right over to Broderick.
I mean, it definitely was kicking to his side.
A couple of great overheads from Powers.
Yep. Again, that loss of that long point. I like everything about that point except for the end, right? You know, I mean, and he lost it with a quick lob,
Hughes
and then
Powers lead the
quick return
second
miss.
set 1-0.
Same trend, all the big points going to Hughes Powers.
well, they haven't found a way to actually hurt them. Unless Hughes and Powers hurt themselves, you know, which they're not doing. They've sort of realized that if we don't miss, they can't make us miss. And that's a very comfortable feeling for a team. And then if they're not making a miss, then we're going to have to see Bostrom dial up the drive another notch. And then you don't know what's going to happen, right? He can start making them, he can start missing them. But they just got to stay closed at this point.
I would
You know,
say
get a
hold here
hold.
is almost essential.
Yeah, just stay close. Don't get too far down. Hang in there. Nice.
Really like the aggressive play from Hughes.
Well, he's keeping him honest, and he's making him think about him other than, like, he's not allowing them to just dump the ball, right? He's saying, if you try to dump it, I might take it out of the air. If you try to dump it, I will hit it, right? So he's putting some doubt in the other team. It's not like they have a safe place, right?
And he's quickening the tempo.
Again, their confusion between these two guys. I wonder if that's the fitness, because that was sluggish.
Boy, Broderick
Love
just
15.
didn't react to that ball at all. Either of
Yeah,
those two
I-
balls. The first one which he made, and the second one which he didn't even get close to.
I have to think, Mark, that we're talking about some fitness here.
30.
Wow.
Either mental or physical, or, you know, because those are just sluggish. And Broderick is, you know, well known as one of the fittest guys on the tour. And the key for, whereas Hughes and Powers, they just look like they could do this all day. And they probably can, those youngsters.
I love how short in the court Hughes is playing. He just keeps pushing in. Standing on that baseline, looking to create offense.
Subtle move forward there. Powers is also, like, people stay away in a lot of parts from him too. He's one of the best at driving a ball, a spin overhead coming into him. He'll take it off the deck and react to it before the spin takes its play and really just hammer it. Oh, he found his spot, but high part of the net.
15-30.
He needed to hit that up with a little more spin.
Had the opening.
Yeah, you know, I don't think he's upset about the try. He just knows he didn't execute, that's all.
First long point we've seen.
And
Oscar
it's
Broderick
not, you
win in a
know,
while.
yes, that's exactly right. That's a huge thing for them. Oof.
And that's what we talked
15-40.
about earlier.
15-40.
Just those blurts,
Yep.
those mid-match naps, as Isabel Caban calls it.
It's a good call there. Hughes making the move up the wire. You got to know your partner's got you covered if you get beat behind. Good job from Hughes keeping his paddle out in front of him, defending well.
30-40.
First kind of decelerating forehand we've seen from Hughes.
He was going for sort of the Broderick push forehand. You know, if it doesn't become a trend and it's a one-off blip, it's no big deal. That's the shot, though, that when they were struggling, that was a struggle for him. Great shot.
Broderick's feet do look kind of still to me, Brad. You're not seeing much bouncing around in between shots. Kind of
No.
standing there.
No question, there's definitely some flat-footedness going on, and I think the fitness level of playing two tough three-setters in a row, grinding, is definitely making a difference.
Big
Deuce.
miss there. Keeps him in the game. Back to
That-
deuce.
That was big. That was big. And Powers went for it. He knows it. You know, and that's like the, you know, risk-reward type of thing. You know, if you decide you're going to go for it, because they've been winning the long points, and he decided he wanted to try and end it. I think Broderick and Bostrom would want that, them trying to end points more, because they're likely to make a few more errors. Is the best way for them to get back in, is to get a couple of errors out of these guys. That's long.
Head in.
And there you go. Couple of cut overhead errors.
Broderick was going a long way to hit these overheads.
Like that hard third panel smash.
They really need to close this game out.
Absolutely. Because they're finally getting a little blip here from Hughes and Powers, right?
Yep.
Two cut overhead misses. You got to take advantage. If you can't win the game when they're giving you two cut overhead misses in a row, it's demoralizing, right? When are you going to win one? Good combination of overheads.
Oh, he beats
Ah.
it again.
That is
just did
money
not
right
catch
there.
Deuce.
John Hughes.
Money from Hughes. Beautiful low lob. He blitzes in, and then Bostrom, instead of waiting and letting the ball drop, he bites. He gets baited into that. Hits a down up overhead, which he just blocks down at them moving forward. That is just a tremendous play from John Hughes.
But if you're Martin Bostrom, you have to know better.
Do you? Yeah, you're probably right. But it's hard because you've hit like 80 balls at the guy, and he's digging them all out, and then he makes a sudden move, and it happens in that time frame where he just can't quite process it. But I agree with you. He's got to let that overhead drop and wait a second, and then he can stick the overhead behind him. They're still going to make Hughes beat him, it looks like. Did the last time. And this could be a good tactic, too. Try to make Hughes beat him with that forehand. He's staying steady as can be. See if you can get Powers to possibly press. But he's done a tremendous job not pressing at this point in time.
Hughes is such an exceptional lobber, and his ability to lob and drive with the same grip makes him especially uncomfortable to play against.
He does actually switch his grip. It's one of the things he's working on some, the ability to, when he lobs well, to move it over a little bit and then move it back so he can start generating a little more topspin.
But it's a very slight shift change.
It's not huge. It's not a
compared to most
semi-western by any
people
means.
who are
Yes.
going literally halfway around the paddle.
Yep. Great point. That's big. That's big, and they wait for the right
out.
ball that finally goes over to the boards. Great point from Hughes Powers. He called for the
Deuce.
help. Powers has got to be
Powers
there in the
wasn't
middle.
there. Yeah.
Great overhead. Big ball in a big moment.
Was slow to react there with Bostrom, wasn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. And Hughes was a little slow, too, on the draw there. He could have been in there a little earlier taking that drive, but still going. So it's all good.
Last couple overheads looked like Bostrom was kind of reaching rather than moving. Whoa.
Head in.
I think Powers was trying to body him up and go straight and hard at the body. Great call by Bostrom out. He was out by 7 feet.
Another opportunity to close this game out.
It's a big, big game for Bostrom and Broderick. Kind of
Sure,
game
yeah.
you can build on.
Haven't won one in almost an hour.
Yeah, they won the first game of the match, and that was
Hughes is getting a lot of good swings now. But Broderick has hit more forehand volleys this match than I can remember in a long time.
yeah, I think there's definitely some sluggishness going on.
Normally he'll go matches without hitting forehand volleys.
I mean, this is a fourth match for both these teams in a day. It's a lot of paddle.
And that's with the abbreviated scoring system we used. Yep, catches the lead cord.
Hey, he'll say sorry, but he earned it, and it's a great shot.
Sorry he hit you, not sorry I won the point
Deuce.
with the lead cord.
Nope, absolutely.
John seems genuinely bothered by it. He's about the only one on tour, I believe, is genuinely bothered by
He
it.
actually is about the nicest guy on the planet. In
Yeah.
practice, he won't hit it
I don't
at
see
you when he should. you know, you want to practice as you play, and sometimes he'll be like, ah, no. Oh, big.
And Powers,
Get
of
out.
course, is a stone cold killer on the other side of the court.
He is. I mean, he's also super nice, but he is a stone cold killer for sure. Oh, nice ball. Good spin into Hughes' corner.
No time Powers is ready. Oh, what a get! Oh!
Deuce.
Unbelievable get from Powers.
Unbelievable how he stopped himself from touching the net, and then Hughes just couldn't get that lob up. Oh my goodness, that was some point.
Wow. How did they not hit him at that point as he's hanging on the middle of the net?
Coming.
Oh,
Oh, Drew, good hands.
Add in.
The
hands,
tough
but I
volley
do not-
two chops and misses the next one.
yeah. Wasn't that easy. It was a good down overhead, so. For Hughes, just to
Yeah.
emphasize that it was his. See, and Broderick is definitely sluggish. I mean, he's
Deuce.
biting and without the ability to. Normally, he would bite in, but then just go back for that one, and he had to reach for it. There's definitely some fitness going on here.
Think
that
that ball
Get
back,
out.
Hughes?
Ad out. No, it went out.
Oh, it was out.
Yeah, I heard ad out called. So
And see Broderick reaching for balls like that is so
Yeah.
unusual.
oh, it's
Oh.
a good look for Hughes.
Deuce.
Too bad.
And their power is kind of Broderick. He hit that short, low lob, got the down up overhead,
Yep.
and Hughes just failed to convert.
Yeah, but it's a good look. You want those all day long.
Yep, absolutely. This is the reason we play no ad the second deuce most of the day, Brad.
This is exactly the reason, Mark. This game is massively important for Bostrom and Broderick.
What do you think this is, the fifth deuce?
Yep.
Brad, if I said 6, would you have said yes to?
Yep.
That's what I figured.
I just want you to feel good about your calls, Mark.
Good having a partner like you, Brad.
And great job by Powers. He's just staying solid. He's seeing. What do you think the percentage of balls he's seeing
Just
by
think of
comparison?
that. I think he's hitting maybe 20% of the balls.
Yeah, 20%, yet he's hitting only the right shots that he wants to. He's still maintaining discipline. He's hitting 1 out of 5, but maintaining discipline, and Hughes is doing exactly what he's supposed to do as well. That's a call for surprising there. I'd let Powers play that. And Hughes has got to be careful. That's one thing. I love him creating the athletic moves, but if he does not lob well enough, don't move up the side wire, right? You got to have the right lob, because then you're just giving them a better opportunity to hit it by you.
Yep, putting yourself at risk. Yeah, there Bostrom learned his lesson.
Hughes does a great job, and he's doing a great job setting his paddle down low. Oh, terrific overheads.
Add in.
All right, here we go again. We're on this merry-go-round here. Powers has been able to successfully return almost every time. And that's out. Yep.
Deuce.
Ripped it. Right at him.
What do you think Powers is saying right here?
You know, I honestly don't know because I think they're doing the things they want to. Maybe he's telling them to hit the return. Not sure.
Just interesting because to me, technically, they're playing virtually a perfect match.
They're doing everything right. I mean,
Even the points they're losing, they're playing well for the most part.
yeah, I wouldn't say there's been any poor choices. You know, generally speaking, we were talking about before, Powers seeing about 20. Oh, surprising. That ball's coming up the side wire. He did not chase that. I don't know if he's.
Reached for his back there, too. Do you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Could be that 4 matches is tough on all these guys. Even though they definitely had a much easier round today. And that's a humongous hold for Bostrom
Games are
and
1-1 in
Broderick.
the second set.
Because it gives them a foothold, and not only that, Hughes and Powers expended a ton of energy there. You know, we'll see if they make a few errors now. That's a damn good volley. That's so good. Broderick.
15 love.
Although, in fairness, Brad, that was virtually an identical one that he missed on game points in the last game. Just about 15 minutes ago.
Got a text in from Dave Broderick. Watching a bit of his brother playing out here. Director at Fiddler's Elbow Club in Jersey, Bedminster, New Jersey.
Longtime director of the Short Hills Invitational. And there's another kind of
30
late
love.
move from
Yeah, you know what,
Ted
Mark?
Broderick.
It's one too many of the evidence. There's no way he misses that ball if he's feeling fresh. You know, that's just 4 matches in a day. Tired, rough.
40
Oof.
love.
Got all of that.
I wonder if Bostrom and Broderick could just take a moment and Broderick could say, hey, listen, I'm not as fresh. I want you to take these 2 boards in the middle here. Because you notice Bostrom's constantly calling for Broderick in the middle. Like, you, and maybe Bostrom should just start taking those.
And at the net, I mean, at the net, Broderick was going behind Bostrom, hit a lot of overheads.
Yep, and they still want to use these low overheads, but maybe it's time to go high overheads for some time in between the points. I mean, the low lobs, I meant, but.
They haven't even been in most of the Hughes Power service
Game,
games.
Powers Hughes. Powers Hughes lead 2-1 in the second set.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Look, I think at this point, they're working on fumes, and they're hanging around, hoping to play it right and hoping to get Hughes and Powers to make a few errors, you know, and hoping to get them to, you know, give them some life in this match.
It was interesting there because Bostrom had a 22-point hold. And
Yep.
then Powers had a 4-point hold and threw the balls back over to the other side of the net. Say, okay, you
Sure.
serve now.
No question. Hey, and it's not like Hughes and Powers aren't expending energy, but they just seemingly have a lot more to expend.
Well, they had an easier route here, and they're younger.
All right. I mean, I'm exhausted sitting in my booth here at home calling this match, Mark, so. Great call
15
from
love.
Bostrom. He hasn't lost his eye there. Good
That was
eye.
close.
Very close, but good call. And we're seeing one or two misses creep in, you know, from Hughes and Powers. That was a big serve, yeah.
But it was different looking with his legs almost.
Oh, see, that's what. See, Powers has a surprising backhand. His backhand has improved in the last year or so. He can sting it fast, roll it heavy. If he hit, you know, if he got more balls to use, he could show you how to use it more. But
He doesn't hit it very often. It's a heck of
Well,
a shot.
he's only getting 20% to begin with. You got a great point.
So
Calling
this is
in.
what I was talking about. You see how far Broderick's traveling to hit these overheads?
Yeah. Boston shot probably happy it's not him traveling there.
I mean, if he's that fatigued, you'd think he'd say something.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he's giving them the rope-a-dope.
He's got us fooled. Not exactly a difficult thing to do, quite honestly.
Oof. He's got to be careful there. He's got to be moving forward into those drives. If he starts pulling away from him, that's when the errors can start them out. Got a great text in from Patty Hogan also saying that you know, Bostrom and Broderick just have no real deception from the backcourt. They both try to hold the ball, and we talked about Bostrom's ability to be deceptive with the drives, but they're just not from the backcourt controlling any of the action.
A great read from Powers.
30
Just
love.
misses it.
Can't get over the top of it with his left hand. Take a little practice swing there. A couple of decent looks from Powers Hughes. Maybe not the best. They weren't like prime looks, but they were good looks. It's always that fine balance, Mark, between going for your shot and making the mistake.
I mean, that overhead Broderick hit might have landed in the alley behind Bostrom.
Oh yeah, Powers is definitely, you know, looking. Oh, that's just tremendous lob back. Doing a good job giving Powers the third panel smash to move him to the middle. Give him very little to drive when they come at him. No.
40
Great.
love.
Great job. Well done. Broderick and Bostrom. All they have to do
40
is
left.
hang around, Mark. Hang around.
Key to the game, right, Brad?
Game.
Good job. And finally, a routine hold for
Game
those
Broderick.
guys.
In a
So
sec.
great
Game
job.
Broderick Bostrom. Games are 2-all in the second set.
That was a quick scamper there
Love
from
15.
Broderick. Rope-a-dope, Mark. I'm telling you.
Must be it.
Love 30.
Oh. quick signs of life there from Bostrom. Perfectly placed drive. But set up from Powers, making a quick, not able to make the quick switch. And here are the little crack in the armor.
Yeah, first 3 break opportunities of the match for them.
And there it is.
Game, Bostrom, Broderick. Yeah, I know. Thanks. Bostrom, Broderick lead 3-2 in the second set.
8 consecutive points there in that changeover.
You know, that bodes really well, and quick and efficient plays, and a little bit. I'm not so sure that we don't have a little effect at Powers too with the 4th match in the day.
Powers been standing around watching. What's he tired for?
Oh, you can
Okay,
pose that
Bostrom
question
Broderick.
to him if we have the winner's interview with him.
Love 15.
It's interesting how Powers kind of predetermines that he wants to drive the return or lob it.
There is some truth to that. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, his forehand is such a good shot. Why he would ever give it away, I don't know.
15
Broderick
all.
catches the seam.
Ah, great scamper from Hughes, but ball was well in. Oh, now that you should apologize for, I have to say.
15-30.
That ball is traveling about 2 miles an hour as it came
Yeah,
across
it's
the net.
the only way that would have been a great shot if by that net court happening. That was a tremendous, tremendous touch there from Powers.
So there again, as Bostrom goes into his windup, you see Powers bailing out and exposing his backhand.
I think he's maybe guessing that the ball's coming to the middle. I'm not sure. I mean,
Bostrom hasn't
Bostrom
had too many
does-
serves down the middle. Almost all his serves have been to that pocket.
Yeah, and he's got a great serve, Bostrom.
Yeah,
So
but
I
the
think
Powers
it's
return is
calculated.
one of the best in the country.
Yeah, and clearly, you know, going forward in that first set and even earlier in this match, we saw a lot of big returns that he's made.
15-40.
Very few that he's missed. So,
Yeah, his average batting average has got to be, what do you think, 80%?
yeah, I think that's about right. Oh, that's a good look. That's nice hands there. Ooh, bodies him. Good look, though. Nice. Like that overhead where they hit it sharp into Power screen. Ooh. Oh, wow. Oh, that was wide, I believe. Yep.
Yep.
Game. Hughes Powers. Score is 3-all in the second set.
All right, so Powers had a 4-point hold last time, Mark. See if Bostrom and Broderick can put some pressure on him. Oh, that's just a great serve and volley. That's a
15
great
love.
return from Bostrom. Powers comes in quickly behind it, sticks the volley. Love that play. Now, Mark, we do talk all the time about having multiple service strategies, but I actually believe to some degree that and you need them, of course, but the serve and volley is a bit of a lost art too, though. I think it can be done more efficiently from a lot of the players.
Missed that one?
I think he did.
30 love.
Nope, he didn't.
Oh,
I didn't.
sorry,
It's
5
hard-
all.
Definitely some miscommunication there in the middle. Bostrom and
Yes.
Broderick again.
Two huge returns and two great volleys from Powers.
Go, 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 go.
Yeah, there are not too many teams in the country that just, too many players left that just serve and come in every time.
Well, you got Durant and Mitchell.
Yep.
Um,
Araya.
These guys about 80–90% of the time. Araya for the most part, absolutely. McNerney almost always.
Yeah, Bostrom, Broderick, changing it up a lot.
Yeah, McNerney pretty much always serves and volleys. He's fading
30,
away, going
15.
back. You can't use it at this moment. That's a little bit of a desperate
Do we
shot.
think it's 30-15 or 40 love here, Brad?
I'm not sure. I mean, from what they
That
called
looked out
before,
to
unless
me.
she got it wrong, then it's 40 love based on what they called before. But that ball could have also been wide. It was very close. So we're gonna have to wait and hear from the scorekeeper, Lisa Rudloff's next score. First
You just
doing a
don't-
great job hitting like medium spin overheads that aren't easily attackable. They're not particularly attacking, but they're just keep pushing you.
But you don't feel like Bostrom Broderick are presenting a lot of offense from the backcourt in this match, what you did in the previous matches. I mean, the points they're winning here are just more mistakes from Hughes Powers.
Yep. There's no question about that. It could be tactical at this point. It could be fitness-wise. Sure, but I also think, clearly they don't have as much offense in the backcourt as Hughes Powers do, because the offense from Hughes Powers can come from a variety of places. 80% of the true offense would come from Bostrom on Bostrom and Brock. You've said it many times before, the greatest skill and, that Broderick has is that he doesn't lose points. Most of the players are trying to win points. He just is trying not to lose them. And then eventually he'll get you. Good look there. Got to hit that at the crease. I'd like to see him go right at the corner on that one. That's nice. Way to move him up and back, but Hughes seems to have energy to spare. I feel like these points. That's not the one. Great overhead from
40,
Hughes, and
15.
he's fading back and away into the
40,
side
15.
screen, and he knows it. I think it's just they're not getting enough purchase in the point, and they're not able to push him around in a way where they feel like they're getting any benefits. So they're just taking the bad shot.
And there's the answer to our question as to what the score was.
Yeah, it's 40-15 now.
That
Yep.
ball
So
was wide.
that ball wide was wide before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought he was going to go for a finisher there. sort of like what we're talking about, Mark. Maybe doesn't feel like he has to because they're winning, I would say 80% of these long points.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And you just feel if Hughes Howers don't miss an overhead, they're going to win the point.
Yep. I tell you, despite it all, Bostrom and Broderick, they're fighting, man. They're grinding.
Just haven't seen Bostrom really thumping the ball of late. Even that ball was kind of guided.
Yeah, but I think he did in the first set, Mark, and they lost 6-1 because they were literally missing 50% of their drives, and you were commenting about sort of the heavy feet. And I think they realized maybe the only way they got a shot here is to not miss any drives, not thump them, but just never miss. And maybe we can get these guys to miss. You know, it hasn't happened yet, but maybe they think it's the number one option left on the table if they don't have full fitness. That's going wide. It's like a
And there's the
100-ball
problem,
point.
right? You play that long grinding
Game
point
Hughes
and then
Powers,
you
they
miss a
lead
soft
3-2
forehand
in
wide.
the
That's just
4-3
really
in the second
demoralizing.
set. And you
Yeah,
won a ball.
I mean, at this point, I'm not sure what if they have the answer. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm sure this is not exactly how they want it to go, but this may be what they think is their number one option. So there's, you see that leaning back and away drive there. And if that's, you know, if that's going to be their option, it's not likely they're going to win this thing.
Right, now those last two drives from Bostrom, there were numerous better opportunities in the course of the point to hit a ball than the two that he ended up choosing.
Yeah, I might disagree with you a little there. I wouldn't say there were numerous better opportunities.
Better opportunities. How about that?
Right, you know, but it's they're struggling for sure.
I mean, to play a long grinding point like that and then take a swing at a ball when you're falling sideways into the back wire.
Sure. Yeah, no question.
Okay, Drew Broderick to serve 3-4, and I would say this is a critical hold for them.
Yep. I mean, they had that momentary, well, I would say it's half of it was a blip from Hughes and Powers when they got up 3-2. They made a couple of huge moments in this second set for them. Holding it love one, you know, just to get that gain, you know, was huge. And then taking that 3-2 lead. And it's all Hughes and Powers again here. Great help call.
Hughes' forehand has just been rock solid. He had that one miss we talked about earlier, but didn't follow it up with any other misses, but hit the ball pretty consistently.
Yeah, he's hitting the right shot at the right time, and he's not like doubting it, right? And it's not like he's hitting them all for winners or anything. He's just making them respect his forehand. You know, I'm going to bring you back in.
Well, looked like
just
they
in.
looked like they're ready to call that ball out.
Yeah, and then it was like right on the line. Broderick putting a lot into those overheads. Some good juice on those.
Although the way Hughes Powers called the ball, that ball could have been out by a couple inches, and they still called it good.
Yeah, they're pretty generous with their calls. I think I've seen any today that they've given away, but
Definitely went to the Steve DeRose style school of calling the lines.
he of all the people, he played a lot of outballs in his day. Oh, that's a great combination. Drive right in there and then lob down the line. It sets up Powers. Good volleying, and now it's another setup ball. That's the area now for Hughes to keep working on, that mid-court short ball.
Boy, have they created a lot of movement at this point.
Yeah, no, this is a great point from Hughes and Powers. They've set up 3 or 4 opportunities, and just well done from Bostrom and Broderick. So close to the net there. Almost got it. in a way, Mark, this sort of reminds me right now what we're watching here of like the days when Djokovic was beating Nadal all the time. You know, Nadal would outrun, be more consistent than anyone he would play against, except when he played Djokovic. He couldn't be more consistent than Djokovic. He couldn't outrun him. I mean, these guys are playing the exact kind of point that
15 love.
Broderick and, you know, Bostrom want to play, but they're matching
Playing
him
it better.
Yeah, they're matching him at it. I missed that drive there, but I would say they had a good look at a lot of balls in that point. He did miss that and pull the trigger there, and what you can hope is that the over-the-head shot there from Powers. Oh, that's what you can hope, that they get a couple of strings of misses there, and there's a, you know,
A little bit
two
of a
misses
flutter.
in a row from Hughes. Nick. All these guys have to do, Broderick and Bostrom, is just hang around. Anything can happen. Got a lucky nick. The other guys could miss a couple of easy sitters. Big. And that's what they need.
15.
You know, when Powers comes in and he adds that forehand to the mix, he can hit it with spin, power, and he spots it as well as anybody in the game.
Oh, how powerful that was, given how late Broderick was on that volley.
I think the overheads they've been hitting Hughes are good too. They're cutting it in there, but not exploding it off the screen. Hughes loves that shot off the back wire. He's getting very few of those. That's going out. Nicely done.
40-15.
Point for 4-all.
Few Hughes errors in this game. Hughes has got to keep his positivity now. Oh, that's
Don't know why
great
Bostrom
play.
didn't hit that
40-30.
overhead.
I can't agree with you more. And if he's not going to hit it, then he should be moving to the
40-30.
other side right away. You know, he hung out, didn't hit it, then he hung out to the left. He did apologize after, which was very nice.
I'm sure that made Broderick feel better.
Well, it's nice.
Really important. Boston Broderick closed this game out.
Absolutely. They cannot afford any distance from Hughes and Powers. I think it feels like it's taken everything they got just to hang around, you know?
Yep.
Oh, it's close to wide.
It was Bostrom's perfect record of calling balls in. That ball was in by about 6 inches.
That's a great shot there from Powers. Oh,
Game.
Great ball there from Bostrom.
Broderick Bostrom.
big ball. Big
Score is
ball.
4-4 in the second set.
You can see he got Hughes there with his hands on his hips. He knows he missed a couple of balls in that game. He also knows that they're playing on par better than the other guys. And he also knows the score is 4-all. So here's where the champions have got to close it out. It's a good blitz from Bostrom. It's not his #1 move, but it was a good time for it. Good recognition. Beautifully read from Powers. He started moving in as soon as Broderick's lined up to hit that drive. Cut it off, drop volley winner. Beautiful play. Oh!
30 love.
Get it in. Good
Great
advice. I
Ball was
mean,
right there. Just
it's
missed
a
it.
good play. I mean, unfortunate, but a good play. Can't take him to task for anything there. Oof.
30-15.
That's a sigh of relief. It's like the greatest gift you can get. Fighting for every point, you get a fault, get a missed return, stuff like that.
40-15.
Oh, tried to make it too good.
Yeah, those are the misses that really haunt you. I mean, if it's in, then so what? Then Hughes lobs the ball, and you're back in the course of play. Just
Well, I
can't
was
afford
about to say, Mark, if those are the misses that really haunt you, you must have like night terrors.
Short memory, Brad.
You're a goldfish.
There's so many, I can't remember all of them.
You don't have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
You gotta upgrade your iCloud storage. Oh, that's
Game, Hughes
it's
Powers,
strange
Hughes Powers
to say
lead 5-4
mental
in the
error
second set.
from Drew Broderick.
Yep.
But that's a mental error from Drew Broderick. The dink and blitz is not the Drew Broderick wheelhouse. That's just a mental error.
Okay, Martin Bostrom will serve to stay in the match and the tournament.
I have to say, though, great job from Broderick and Bostrom just fighting and hanging in there. They're making Hughes and Powers win the points. The last game, they got a few errors. So good job for them. That's an inexplicable drive to me. I don't know how he doesn't go towards
Broderick is back.
on
He's
that
off the
one.
net.
Yeah, that's me. Oh, I love this play from Powers. Cut. Yep. I mean, it's the right play. Just
Yep.
you gotta
Just doesn't
execute.
Yep.
It's a
15
risk
love.
reward shot. You don't execute.
Great hands by Broderick staying in the point.
Yep.
See, that's what I mean. That's a
15
ball
all.
he's predetermining he's going to hit that drive. Bostrom is hitting 95% of his serves into that pocket there.
Yeah, and what you're saying is he should predetermine to hit every single one of them. That's all you're saying, really.
I had Mark Powers forehand. I wouldn't be backing off any of them.
And I guess the only thing I could say, I mean, I can't disagree with your logic on any of that, is that maybe he thinks they're winning the long points too, and there is a measure of risk. Oh, that is big backhand.
Oh, what a volley from Powers. Great dig
He's going to
from
get
Broderick.
that.
Nope.
No, he's not. That's
Boy,
just too good. And
Hobbling after that ball a
15-30.
little bit.
yeah, a little bit of a, without a doubt, no
2
question.
points for the match. Let's watch Powers here and see how he lines up. So he's getting ready for the forehand.
Well, he lines up the same, but then he bails at the
Then he
moment.
bails.
Ooh! I guess that was going in, but it looked high from our vantage point. Good cut overhead from Broderick. Oh!
15-40.
Broderick, he's hands on his knees. He's like,
Yeah.
no.
Great digging from Hughes, but again,
I
that's
mean-
not Bostrom's shot.
I mean, they set it up okay. You got to execute at the wrong moments. Now it's 2 match points here for Hughes and Powers. Love that fake blitz, and that's Is it surprising to you, Mark, that we haven't seen more than a single finishing overhead
30-40.
from, either Bostrom or Broderick?
Yeah.
All right,
Match
that's a
point
good
number
cut
2.
from Hughes. He took the swing at the right time. He's going to hit this. Nice. They're going to make Hughes beat him, I think, with the forehand here. And here's where we'll see the crucial moments. Oh,
Great volley from Broderick.
yep.
Just a remarkable volleyer. A sport of remarkable athletes. A lot of great volleyers. I don't know that anyone's better than he is. Oh, Bostrom better be careful with that one.
Oh. Just squeaking it over his Hughes. Living the clean life. Outside of being a Bruins fan, Hughes is a really good guy. That's a great cut overhead. He's so good at digging those. Oh!
Great coverage from Powers.
Terrific point. Worthy of a match point here. Guys are amping it up to another level. Surprising quick drive there from Powers. I'm loving Bostrom's third panel smashes over there to the Powers corner. Oh, one more ball. Hughes and Powers doing it. Just incredible work from Bostrom and Broderick. Just one more ball every time from Hughes and Powers. Oh! And
There
what
it is.
a way.
Game, set match. Hughes
Game,
and
set,
Powers.
match.
6-1, 6-4.
Hughes Powers won the first set 6-4, 6-1, second set 6-4.
Brad, thoughts?
I mean, it's just a great match. I mean, it's terrific to see Hughes and Powers round back into form after two, frankly, subpar performances from them. And then, you know, it's also great to see the possibility of a new team in Broderick and Bostrom fighting their way to the end. They gave it everything they had in there. I don't think it was their A-plus game. I definitely think they were physically compromised to some degree. But, you know, Hughes and Powers, if they play that error-free and take those moments, I mean, you know, you'd have to consider them right back in there in the national conversation, you know, of winning the Nationals.
Yeah, I want to come back to the conversation we had earlier in the match where they just kind of got back to the things that they do well, which they'd gotten away from. I mean, I think that, you know, to a large degree, John Hughes had spent a lot of time thinking about hitting that forehand with a little more topspin and changing his backswing and doing some of the things that he didn't do well when he got away from things he did do well. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Well, the number one thing they do well is they don't have to lose a point ever if they don't want to. So we talk about Broderick being able to stay in the point. These guys can stay in the point, truly with the best of them. And that's the number one thing. So he doesn't have to hit that forehand at any time he doesn't feel like it. He doesn't have to hit it with a different thing or a different. He just has to not miss it that much. And he has to have people respect the fact that he will hit it. If you never hit it, then it's just a safe spot, right?
Right. Yep.
And he hit it plenty today. He didn't always crush it. And the amount of winners he hit with it was probably, I don't know, 10, 15, 20%. Doesn't matter, though. He's bringing them up. He's bringing them back. They're not missing a single ball. And eventually they're gaining purchase in the point at some point.
And by swinging at it, he gets his partner more forehands to hit.
Correct. You got to make the guys respect you, and respect the shots you're going to play. And as it was still today, I think Hughes probably played 75% of the balls, and he was awesome.
Yep.
He threw in a couple of blitzes now. You could see he's moving his position up and in. He's moving his position back a little, throwing in some different threats with positioning, hitting the drive at the right spot. And Powers did an exceptional job taking the looks he had without pressing.
Yeah, Hughes played like Hughes today. It's so easy to focus on the things that you don't do well and try and do them better. But when you do that, sometimes you get away from the focus, the things you do well, and don't do them as much.
Well, that's kind of like saying Steffi Graf should have had a great topspin backhand. Yeah, well, tell that to her 22 Grand Slam championships.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do what you do well, and these guys have to feel good about it. And I think Bostrom and Broderick should feel really good about the effort they put forth and how they fought to the end. They gave themselves a chance to win. After that first set, you probably would have said right away the chances of them win went down to like 25%, right?
They really competed.
But they competed in the final set there. They weathered some tough stuff. They made those guys actually beat him. Even that last point, that was a great point.
Yep.
I mean, it was a great point. So, nothing but kudos to all the combatants out there.
It'll be interesting to see if we see Bostrom and Broderick play together at Longmeadow next month.
Yeah, we got, and but prior to that, we can talk about what we got upcoming. The next tournament we're going to be doing, Mark, January 16th, Midwestern.
Why don't we take a look at the schedule if we can get that up while we're waiting for the guys.
Yeah, so we got Midwesterns, and that's going to be great to see some of the players we haven't seen at all. Hopefully Tyler Frazier, right? Brian Compton.
Well, we'll see if the Chicago guys can play. Right now, the Chicago guys can't really travel outside of the state of Illinois.
Okay, that's actually terrific news to find because then it's going to be a Midwestern draw, right? And we'll see Kaler then. We'll see Rams. We'll see, hopefully
Frazier,
Casey Watts,
Tyler, the indie guys.
Tyler Frazier, right? Maybe we'll see Brian Hagman. I think actually the guys from Colorado can possibly travel, but
Vincent Schwab.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what the draw is going to be like out there. And then following that, you just mentioned before, we got Longmeadow, so Western Mass Open, and we'll probably see basically the same crew we saw this time. This was a great draw.
I think it'll be very similar. I don't expect any of these teams won't be there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of guys I haven't seen at all this year. Thomas Nolan hasn't been out playing. Hopefully he can make it out there, but we're looking forward to the finishing out. Philly, I was on the phone with texting with Vlaco Nidek at Waynesboro Country Club. This year they're going to have Philly at the Manufacturers Golf and Country Club, so they always do a great job down there. And then the Nationals in Boston. And I guess we'll just see how the COVID landscape is at that point in time, Mark.
Yeah, the APTA will have to make some determinations based on who's allowed to play. I mean, obviously, if the people from Illinois have to quarantine for a period of time beforehand, then maybe it won't be a Nationals. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's all so fluid right now.
Absolutely. And, you can't discount the vaccine, but, how it gets out there. And, these are all things that are a little beyond our pay grade.
Just a little.
Just beyond.
Especially
our pay grade is extremely low, Mark. It's a very, very low pay grade.
What isn't above our pay grade, Brad?
That's a fair point, Mario. There's little to nothing that isn't above our pay grade. Um, so anyway, and we should mention a few thanks again. So run down the list for us, Mark, of all the people who make this happen.
Well, starting with the APTA, Amin Kadari and Ann Sheedy, Tiernan Kavana, president of the board, Nindy Pike, Isabel Caban, Jackie Cameron, Manny Waldron, on the Long Island side, Dwayne Hayden and Tim Mangan, who do so much for Ellipta. Just
Right.
great efforts. And of course, we never forget to thank Jerry Vian for all our hard work setting up the camera angles and being kind of like the air traffic controller.
Absolutely. And of course, our national sponsors, Viking, Fusion, Upswing Health, MI Paddle, and of course, our local sponsors as well, D'Addario, Signature Premier Properties, Cherry Lane Printing and Mailing, and Shoreline Beverages as well. So all terrific places. If you're from the area in Long Island, please go ahead and absolutely visit those businesses. So we'll wait for hopefully we'll get our winners out here for an interview soon.
Fuse was as quick coming up for the interview as he was chasing down drop shots we'd already been finished.
Yeah. Those guys might be knee deep into a couple of beers by now.
Is Fuse old enough to drink?
He's got that young face. It'll serve him well when he's our age.
In 30 years.
Exactly.
Okay, sounds like they're getting the players in there. About to get started.
Well, in the meantime, I see a match on the court to the left there. Do you think we can get the camera over there?
I think those are members.
Oh, I'd be happy to live stream some more.
We have to get a result of the quarterback draw. I know Lipover Protsenko were playing against Kayla Rams. So I have not heard the final score of that one.
I'd like to hear the results there as well.
A lot of points available there. And also a big thank you to Matt Garavaglia at Crest Hollow Country Club, who jockeyed his membership around, making courts available and changing the schedule to make the courts available in the afternoon for everybody. That was a big part of the tournament, and Matt really was a critical help.
Yeah, it's always it takes a village, as they say, to make any of these things happen. And this, of course, is the conclusion of the tournament that was supposed to be on December 5th when we had that nor'easter snowstorm, right?
Oh, here we go. We got two masked men.
All right, a couple of masked men out there in Hughes and Powers. Gentlemen, are you up? Give us a thumbs up. Can you hear us all right?
Yeah, can you hear us?
We can hear you well. Congratulations on a terrific victory here in the Long Island Invitational, the Dwayne Hayden Long Island Invitational. So I don't know if this is reminiscent for you guys at all, but this is where you started your run in 2018. Is any of that lost on you guys?
No, I mean, it certainly it is. We kind of, after maybe not our best start to the season, John and I were actually talking about how this was our breakthrough tournament and how we had a chance to kind of replicate potentially what we were able to do in that turnaround. So we're really happy to be back here. They hosted a phenomenal event. Dwayne always does. And we were really happy with our play today. So.
Well, congratulations on that. Let's touch on that a little bit. Now, you just mentioned, Mark, subpar play, and you guys were getting back into it these days. So what do you think was the difference now between the first few times and this time?
Well, we've been getting on the court quite a bit. As you know, Brad, we've gotten on the court with you, a bunch of times recently. I got on the court with Jim Kaufman earlier this season as well, or not so long ago. But really just getting back to the fundamentals, and remembering what our real strengths are, and just trying to return to the way that we used to play, I think, and remembering kind of where we started. I feel like our game plan has kind of drifted over the last year a little bit, and we wanted to kind of get back on track. I don't know. What do you think, John?
Yeah, no, I would agree with all that. I mean, I think it was just kind of trying to get back to, what we kind of got away from what made us successful as a team. And we started, maybe at the end of last year and maybe the beginning couple tournaments of this year, just kind of forcing it instead of kind of letting the play come to us. And I think throughout the day today, we were so patient in the backcourt and just didn't miss any, screens. We were getting everything back. So it was just, I know we've been on the other side of that. So it's tough when you see you're playing, your opponent is not missing too many balls in the backcourt. It's just like really difficult to kind of figure out how you're going to win a point. So that was really what we were trying to do, was just trying to get back to the way we, is most successful for us as a team, and being athletic, but being patient, and then kind of waiting for our opportunity in the backcourt,
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw in the match. We saw, John, you go back to your style. You're lobbing the ball well. You're not trying to hit the forehand too big.
Right.
You're getting some swings from Mark. And to me, you're just playing like Hughes and Powers again, which is what made you guys so dominant for a year and a half, going back to what you did really well.
I want to touch on this, not making any errors kind of thing, because it is the season of giving, and it is a holiday season. But you guys felt like there was no opportunity to give anything away this time. I don't know if that's in the holiday spirit, but it was tremendous to see you guys right back there on top of your games and pulling out the victory here.
Thank you, Brad.
When are we going to see you guys again?
I think we're gonna play Longmeadow. Yeah, our tournament in Longmeadow.
That's your home tournament, right, John?
Yep, our home tournament. So, yep, it should be a good one. We're looking forward to it, and yeah, we're happy to go into the holidays with a win.
Well, congratulations, guys, and we're looking forward to seeing you after the new year. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you
you
as well,
too.
guys.
Mark, nice to see you as well. It's been so long.
Oh, and
so
if you
to
were
see your
waiting,
face.
if you were waiting on a result, by the way, Anton and Max won that match.
Oh, terrific.
Thank you very much.
I
We
heard,
did want to know
I
that.
heard you before.
You got a score for us as well?
I think it was. I believe it was. Believe it was 3-0.
Wow. Good for them.
Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure.
We won't hold you to the fire on that one. Congratulations to our 2020 Dwayne Hayden Long Island Invitational winners, John Hughes and Mark Powers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you both. Take care.
Okay, Brad, always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, Mark. And I believe that's an APTA Grand Prix Series wrap.
At least for 2020. And it's nice to have 2020 behind us. I'm looking forward to better things in 2021.
Looking forward to it as well. Pleasure as well, Mark. And we'll see everybody. Everybody have a great holiday season. And we'll see you in the New Year's in Midwesterns, January 16th.
Good night, everybody.